Welcome back to the Tripping Off podcast. Today we're talking about what happens when a client falls asleep in hypnosis. It happened to me last week, and it brought up a good topic, and I posted it in the Discord, which, hey, take a moment now. Discord link is down below. Please join. More active on there. A lot of people are asking questions. Good questions in the Podia comment section too of like the actual course itself. I'm very excited. But a lot of clinicians ask us this, like, well, what if they fall asleep? And actually, to be honest, I think more clients ask this of me than clinicians do. Like, well, what if I just fall asleep? And I'm like, that would be great. So, but what do you actually do? Yeah. You had some clients who've fallen asleep?
Plenty.
Any particularly good stories come to your mind? Because I got one I'll share, but I want to let you go first.
Share that one. I think that was a good example.
Yeah?
That crosses a couple of boxes.
It was so good, man. So I've got this guy. You know, I'm not gonna share any detailed information, of course, but a lot of stress, a lot of chaos in life right now, a lot to do with relationships and things, and so just really, homeboy's going through it. I'm feeling for him, and it was our first hypnosis session. I met him for the intake in person, but this one was virtual. So gets a laptop. You know, we're trying to find the right place in the house. Shows up at the kitchen table first, and I'm like, this is setting the wrong mood. I was like, kitchen table is like, this coming through. He's like a high back chair. I'm like, no. Where's some place you can be relaxed, comfortable? And they're like, well, nobody's home. So I'm like, no. I'm going to ask you to change it. And so one, I think giving clinicians permission to be directive with the client, be like, they're going to say, no, it's fine. But you're the professional.
Yeah.
Right? Just be like, hey, I agree. It's probably fine. Like, that's great. I'm glad you have a private space. That's important. But we need somewhere to signal to your body that this is a calm and peaceful place. So we transition to the couch.
And I think that also creates a lot of trust for clients when you are the professional and you are directive, especially about the setting, to create a safe space to make it so that your experience as the clinician in a whole bunch of settings is something that they don't have.
Yeah.
The client's not thinking about like, well, what if I fall asleep in this chair that is a high-backed
They've never been hypnotized before.
Exactly.
How are they supposed to know?
And your experience is what's going to protect them from that.
It's confidence inspiring because when you set the agenda and you say, hey, I know how this is going to go. We need these things. It's communicating to them, hey, I know what you're going to need before you know that you're going to need it. So it creates trust, right? So I'm indicating trust here.
Yeah.
That I can anticipate things and, be protective over them.
And the client's in here going like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Wow, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he does know what he's talking about.
So homie sits down on the couch, and sets the laptop up, angles it. So I'm looking at him across the room, got the Bluetooth headphones in. So perfect. Voice inside the head. And so all I do is just very simple induction because it's the first time ever. So I want them to get kind of an experience of what it's like, get them accustomed to that brain state. And they go, very gently into trance, follow all the things I'm looking for. And then guide to a nice place, give them suggestion they can let go of their stress and find their place of peace. And, then I'm talking them back out, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they don't come out. Now, I've had this happen two ways, where people don't come out because they're in a trance, they're not sleeping, and where they don't come out because they fell asleep.
Yeah.
This one fell asleep. So I start to ratchet it up, right? We kind of go through a sequence of, I want them to gently wake up, so I count them up to 10, which is, a hypnotic signal, but they're not out. So I start using my regular speaking voice, kind of faster paced, a little bit more punchy to grab attention. Nothing. Out. So I start using their name. We know from research that when you call somebody's name, they're more likely to wake up, right? So I call in their name, nothing. I'm like, well, now I've got a problem because I got another client coming in here in a minute, and they're sound asleep. So I don't want them to wake up and I'm just disappeared. That can be a real sense of like
lostness and
loss.
security.
Yeah. And so if they didn't wake up, I would have navigated that, figured it out. But I was like, okay, what can I do? So I start calling their phone. I was like, maybe their phone is on. Maybe wake them up. So I call their phone, rings all the way through, goes to voicemail. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. So I'm like, one more time. Sometimes you got to ring it twice. Call them a second time. They wake up. I'm like, thank Jesus. Okay, great. They wake up and they're just kind of, oh, someone's calling. And then they look and they see me. They're like, oh, I was in that moment. You got to take control of the session again. It's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Hey, welcome back. That's what I said. I'm like, welcome back. You did such a great job.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to give reassurance. You did a great job. Take a moment. Be calm, right? That was me calling on your phone. I wanted you to wake up. So now they can release the phone energy. Now they can release their performance energy because I'm telling them good job. And I'm saying, you did a great job. Take a moment to come back. It can be a little disorienting. I'm acknowledging and empathizing. It can be a little disorienting to come out of a trance and recognize that you were asleep. Give yourself a minute to fully wake back up. So they fully wake back up. And we start to discuss it. They're like, I think I fell asleep. I was like, you did. And so now I have the question as a therapist, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because they're going to think this was a failure. They're going to think, I didn't do hypnosis right because I just fell asleep. And I don't want them to take that away. So what I say instead is like, hey, I got a question for you. Have you been having trouble sleeping lately? And they're like, oh yeah, with all the stress and stuff. And I was like,
yeah.
Remember what I said when we first started this? We're going to find a place for you to feel calm and comfortable and confident. And your mind fell asleep right away, sharing with you what it needs the most. It needs rest because you've been so tense, hypervigilant about all the things you need to pay attention to. And think about how difficult it's been for you to fall asleep and how easily you fell asleep. You weren't even trying to.
Yeah.
Your mind now has the tools that it needs to get you the rest and the sleep that you deserve. And they're just like, wow, yeah, that's true. It's been so hard for me to fall asleep. And I was like, listen, I gotta let you go because I got another session I gotta walk in on. But it's like, you got any questions, just text me, give your mind and body some space to feel this difference you're experiencing right now. That was a wonderful job. I'm very proud of you again. And then we ended the session. And that was it. I think a lot of clinicians get like spooked when things don't go according to plan, but I cannot think of a session. I've got another one to share with you in a minute. I cannot think of a session where things have gone according to my plan. And because of that, they've always been better than I anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that what you did there is really important for everybody to understand like the particulars of it. And so I want to point out at that moment when he comes out of wakes up, your immediate reaction was to take control, but not in a egoic way.
Not in a disenfranchising way.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's done in such a way that makes it so that I'm going to give you, client, reassurance that you are okay and that your unconscious mind absolutely knows what you need. And
it's like, I'm thinking of my 3-year-old, my 3-year-old has the most expression and permission to play when I've created a boundary of safety around him. It's like that. I'm not taking away his opportunity to choose what he wants to do. I'm actually enabling it because, hey, I'm going to make sure when we're in the backyard, you don't fall into the pool and that you don't run into the street and that you don't jump off that really tall thing, though that looks really fun, you're going to break your leg.
But
so they can be free.
You're setting up boundaries
Yes.
for there to actually be more freedom.
Yes.
And I think that that's the key point when therapists, hypnotherapists are like, it didn't go well. If it didn't go well in your head, your perception is that you know better than what this person's unconscious mind is.
Yeah, I don't know of a situation where it can not go well. It can go not according to your plan. That's almost a guarantee. And so when I hear a clinician saying, yeah, it didn't go well, I'm like, you mean it didn't go according to your plan and you didn't know how to pivot?
Your plan.
Yeah.
Your ego's idea.
Oof. There's a social media post. If you're the type of clinician that says things didn't go according to plan in the session, that's because you have a big ego as a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you lie to yourself saying that you are humble and empathetic and kind, but it's not true. If you are not able to pivot and be light on your feet with the direction of the session, then your ego is guiding the session, not the client.
Absolutely. I'll die on that hill.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I think we have a obligation to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what's your client falling asleep story?
I mean, it's never happened to me where they haven't come out of it, or I've needed to call them or do something else. Or and I would suggest people like this is had a intern a little while ago that was doing this, and they were like, I felt like I needed to like touch them, and I say absolutely don't do that.
We don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Like tap them on the shoulder or something like that.
I have had someone that would not wake up.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is beautiful. They need a nap, right? And so I sent them a text on their phone, or like I left a note in the room, and I just found another room in the office building to have my next session.
That's great.
Yeah. I think I dimmed the lights too. Like I was like, good for them. Like nap as long as you want.
You know, that brings up something for me is I was practicing with a registered intern, and we didn't have like a full hour, and I wanted them to practice on me. So they put me in a trance, and they had some more to go. So we had like, I don't know, like 20 minutes before the next session. I didn't have a next session, they did. So I asked them to use the 20 minutes for me to go deeper and deeper and deeper, but to give me the suggestion that they were going to leave and that I could come out of it whenever my alarm went off.
That's true. And oftentimes when I do virtual stuff, because of internet connections, I tell them ahead of time, like, hey, and just as a reminder, this is virtual. My internet might drop out. Your internet might drop out. Yeah. If that happens, that's fine. It doesn't ruin anything about the therapeutic experience. When that happens and you wake up and you realize, give yourself time to come back in and just know that we did all the work we needed to do. And I'll text you. We'll schedule the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so I set the alarm for myself.
That's
for
really good.
30 minutes into the next hour.
Yeah.
So when the intern left, I think that I fell asleep.
That's great.
Until the alarm went off. But because that suggestion was already in my unconscious mind, it was my alarm. It was the same alarm sound that wakes me up in the morning. It was perfect. It was ideal for that. So that just as a suggestion, especially for online hypnosis, that might be a good thing to just do.
I've never done that, but I might start doing it now.
Yeah.
That's a really good suggestion. Yeah. Yeah.
I did have a client.
Wait, so what happened? So they fell asleep and they wanted to touch him, but they didn't, or what? And then like when you fell asleep, like you woke up, and how was that experience for you? You got to conclude those stories. I'm on double cliffhangers here. First the intern's experience.
Yeah,
they wanted to shake the client. Don't do that.
I think I was asleep. The alarm went off, and I woke up fine. I thought it was great. I was quite a bit groggy after that because it is like a quick coming out because of the alarm.
Yeah.
And so it might be a good thing to take care of somebody in that case, in whatever they need. But yeah, I didn't have a hard time, but because it was intentional, that it was the same sound that wakes me up in the morning. I knew when it was going to happen, and I was comfortable with just being in the room by myself. So that wasn't difficult. The situation with the intern is that they had this urge to like, we need to go. They're asleep. They ended up not touching the client.
Bless.
Yeah. We were just processing some of the thoughts that they had, and they just kept doing coming out of trance things. So they counted up.
Yeah.
They changed their tone to be higher pitched.
Yep.
Faster.
Yep.
And louder.
Yep. Punchier. Yeah. I've got like an escalation chart. I count first, then I talk in my normal voice, then I get louder and punchier, then I say names, then I'll start banging stuff, moving things, opening the door, scooting my chair around.
Yeah.
Just like...
Yeah, and that eventually worked. They did it, I can't remember exactly how many, but they did it multiple times. And my suggestion to anybody is every time you are bringing somebody out and they don't immediately come out the first time, start all over again. And so you change your tone, your cadence, your speed, and so changing your tone and pitch and speed, and then loudness. But then if they don't come out of it, start off slower again. Start off with your hypnotic voice and then come up again.
Yeah, because what wakes people up is the transition, right?
transition.
So if now you're staying at a constant loud pace, it's actually not super disruptive.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like why people can fall asleep in an airport or a bus station, because the noise level, though loud and obnoxious, is constant.
It's stable. Yeah.
Your body's interpreting that as this is still a stable place to sleep. But if it's fluctuating, it gets really soft and then really loud again. Or you're introducing new noises. That's going to be a cue for your body. Hey, something's changing in our environment. We should probably wake up and check it out. Make sure we're okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of which, my parents have the story about how the only way that they could, there's a period of time when I was a baby, but the only time that I would sleep is if my dad had a riding lawnmower.
That's amazing.
And so he would take me out there, strap me to himself, and then turn the lawnmower on.
It's a nice constant noise.
And I would I would go straight to sleep.
You know, before we knew as much about taking care of babies and keeping them safe, it's a great way to start a story, right? My dad had a baby backpack, and he would play the drums, an acoustic drum set, in his closed garage, and I would just pass out on the back of his neck. Thinking about that now, some of my hearing issues may make a little bit more sense, because they're loud. You're supposed to have like hearing protection on, but it wasn't mean. Like, they're trying to be nice, help me get to sleep and stuff. We just didn't know about sensitivity.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad about it. But yeah, it was like, oh, my dad's playing the drums. It's a safe place.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out.
But yeah, that consistency is something that I think that people don't always pay attention to, especially when you bring somebody out, especially when they fall asleep. I think that it's very few times that if you give it 15 minutes, and I always try to have at least 15 to 20 minutes to bring somebody out and answer any questions.
Yeah.
So I won't bring them out. I shouldn't say that. Like, because I will do that too, but it's with intention.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be like, oh, like, it's the hour, and I'm going to push it straight to the hour, bring them up as quickly as I can. And
I know, I always do that, because I'm having too much fun.
Yeah.
So then I push the hour, and then the next one's 10 minutes late, and I'm like, oh, well. But every client knows that I have too much fun, and I always go 10 minutes over, so it's just part of the routine now.
If you find that somebody is very susceptible to falling asleep, I would definitely give it 15 to 20 minutes, though.
Sounds good. Yeah.
And that way you can take care of them afterwards, and you might need to if they fall asleep.
Yeah. Maybe a first session, for sure. Like, if you're kind of just getting to know things, maybe save yourself the 15, 20 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
To make sure that you've got that debrief time, you know, especially if you don't know how they're going to respond to it. Now, just to reiterate, it sounds obvious to us, but I'll say it for the group. Nobody ever gets stuck in hypnosis. They always come out eventually.
Absolutely.
But it may just not be on your conscious timeline. It may be on their subconscious timeline.
And going back to that, like it never goes the way that it should.
No.
Because the should is the therapist's ego.
Yeah.
And so, like, just to that point is, just reiterating that and coming back to it.
Yeah. Well, I had another one to share. Speaking of things not going the way that they ought to, another client did some hypnosis, and very difficult childhood trauma story. They're working on some new relationship stuff, you know, figuring out some of their romantic life and things like that, and they're struggling to figure out what their next steps are. Not because the next steps aren't obvious, but because they're struggling to make the choice, right? If the choice about my next steps is just my choice, what do I want out of life? And it's not the environment or the other person saying, you need to do this next, it's very tough for them, because it requires some strength. You know, some confidence of ego of like, yes, this is what I want, so this is what I'm going to do next. That can be scary for somebody who's always been kind of codependent, sort of anxious attachment, listening to what other people tell them to do rather than making their own choices.
Absolutely.
And so we had a session, right? We've done hypnosis before, so, you know, pretty confident about them and their hypnosis, but usually we go to like a place that's nice and for them, but I had them sit where you're sitting now, hands on the lap, which is tough. They always try and pull a pillow over to defend. I was like, no pillow today. Like, no pillow today. It's like, you're going to be fine. It's like, no pillow today. And we kept our eyes open the whole time. And I was giving them the suggestion to have an arm levitation, right? You know, having some self-agency, like figuring stuff out, and guided them into their body, very somatic, and started to give them the suggestion that they would release their stress and their hold on themselves, kind of symbolically, they're holding themselves down by like raising the hand. An hour. Never happened. Hand stayed right there. Most counselors, most hypnotherapists think, oh, absolute failure.
What'd I do wrong?
What'd I do wrong? So we saved 10 minutes at the end to discuss. Well, in my case, we didn't save any time at the end. I just went 10 minutes over. You know how it is. But the whole time I was giving the suggestions for the hand thing, you know, their feet and their neck and their face and their fingers especially twitching like you have no idea. Look full on like a tick, you know?
It's great.
And so I just started having a conversation with the fingers. You know, I was talking. This one would talk to me in Twitch, and so I'd acknowledge and ask a question and be like, "Oh, I can see you responded to that." And then the other side of Twitch, and this one would go, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Full on conversation. They're just like dazed, in a trance, sitting here, feeling all of this, and me having a conversation with their fingers. But the hand never raised, and so they came out, and I was like, before we go anywhere, I was like, as you're coming out, I was like, give some time to come back in your body, right? Acknowledging that feeling. I was like, I want you to know that was so great. I was like, that was exactly what you needed to experience. Two things. One, I wanted you to feel the tension that's in your body.
Yeah.
And the way that you sabotage your growth and your movement towards happiness and peace just inside yourself. There's nothing in this room that was demanding things of you or creating situations that you couldn't move through. And so it was a moment to share with you that the things you think are obstacles for your happiness are not actually obstacles. You are the obstacle for your happiness. Ooh. Point number 2. I am the most trained, like the best at this that I know of. Nobody else runs a school like I do. Nobody else trains other therapists for hypnosis like I do. Nobody deals with complex trauma like I do. I'm the one that people send others to train them on this stuff. And I could not get your arm to move. That should say something very magical about your ability to protect yourself. Only you can make that next step.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much I tell you or say that this is a good suggestion. That next step has to be your choice, and you will not make the next step until you choose to make that next step. And they were like, holy shit. And they were chewing on that one, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it did not go according to plan. I was like, this is going to be great. You know, we've been working together for like over a year, you know, all this good stuff, making this great progress. And I was like, I really thought it was going to move, because I was like, this is going to be the cathartic moment. The hand moves. Oh, poof. Like, nope, not ready.
No.
Because I thought they were ready. Their subconscious knew they weren't ready. They needed to confront that tension. We hadn't fully confronted the tension in the way that they needed to yet, so the subconscious would not let it move forward. Get your ego out of the room.
Yeah.
Thoughts about that, or
yeah.
want to share?
Well, I see so many counselors, but also clients. The reaction to it is this: like, what are you going to do to me to make it so that I make my next step?
Bruh.
Right?
Yeah. I'm like, bro, so true.
But that's such a good example of, I am not going to do anything besides create a space, a container, an experience for you to do whatever it is that you actually need to do, rather than what a book, what best practices, what a technique says that you should do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of going back to this whole point of therapist ego. Let's have a name for this. And I got the perfect one.
Yeah?
Yeah. Therapeutic narcissism.
I'm going to sit on that one. I like it. But it touches on so much in such good ways. I want to explore the term. I love, because narcissist is such a buzzword in like pop psychology too. So it's like intentionally inflammatory.
Yeah.
That's nice. I see what you did. And I appreciate it.
Let's
Therapeutic narcissism.
I'm just going to call it that for right now.
Jeez.
Therapeutic narcissism is the idea, as is coming to me right now, that I know what you need.
Yeah.
I had no fucking clue. And the harder and the more rigid I attach myself to what I think is the thing that you need, the more things will go wrong.
Guaranteed.
If the idea is I'm going to create a container and give you an experience, you're going to give me, your unconscious is going to give me the data that will reveal to both of us what you actually need.
Yeah. I talk to my interns about Sherlock Holmes all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love Sherlock.
It's good. It's good. Because the reason Sherlock Holmes was Sherlock Holmes is not because he was necessarily more intelligent than everybody else. He was just autistic. I mean, he was just able to look... Probably. That was the joke. He was able to look at the facts without the judgments. What happened with all the other investigators, and stuff in the British police or whatever it was, is they would see the clues and then jump 3 steps to the conclusion. Oh, yep. I've seen it 15 times this way, so this is probably what happened next. Because we are pattern recognition machines. But Sherlock Holmes didn't do that.
No,
he said, well, 1, 2, 3, where's 4? Right? Or said, I don't have 4, I need more information. Let me stir something up in order to create a scenario where 4 either presents itself or does not present itself.
That's exactly the point.
That's what we're doing as hypnotherapists. And it's so freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, it holds me accountable for the work that I'm doing, not jumping to conclusions, and it gives the client permission to walk through it. Because even if I was correct, and I skip steps 4 or 5 and jump to 6, the client's going to miss out on the foundation, the bedrock that will get them to the peace and comfort at 6, because they need to experience steps 4 and 5.
Well, and that brings up another point that maybe we'll do this next time, is registered interns and young therapists oftentimes ask me, because they struggle with this, how do I go deeper? That's the point.
That's the point.
That's how you go deeper. Is saying that. I mean, going deeper is that next step. It's the 4, and then it's waiting for the 5, and then the 6. Not just saying, "Hey, well, in this book it says that this is a good treatment for that, so I'm going to. I see the pattern based on my education, and what you really need is the 6th step, even though I only have the data for the first 3.
Right.
So how do you go deeper? How do you go deeper with a client? How do we get to core issues? Sherlock Holmes.
Maybe I'll end on this because I know we're running out of time for this episode, but it brings to my mind a conversation I had with a client about sex, which is there's a big difference between a kiss and a kiss. You can touch lips and call it a kiss, but then there's a difference when you understand the connection in the moment of where is your hand placed, what's your timing, are you noticing the way that their breath is on your cheek and your breath is on their cheek, what's the position of your body, what's the intensity of the pressure on the lips, does it start light and then move to harder pressure and then back off, and so it's this push and pull, not because I'm thinking about letting go of the kiss, but because I want to experience all aspects of the kiss and the romance, not just accomplish the task. And that's what therapy is supposed to be like. Don't sleep with your clients, right? That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is we as human beings know what intimacy feels like. And though it is a professional type of intimacy, we need to lean into the same type of foreplay, if I can borrow sort of ride that line of ethics here real quick.
But we're talking about the container.
To create that connection. Yeah, the container.
Yeah. If you can't create that container, then it's gonna fall into that therapeutic narcissism.
I think that's why hypnotherapists are sexy. We understand pacing. And on that note, Let me know your thoughts. Are you a hypnotherapist who's had a client fall asleep in session? Has your session not gone according to plan? Are you on the reverse side where you as the client, session didn't go according to plan and a therapist handled it so poorly? Or you have an example of a therapist handling it well? Comments down below. Love to start the conversation. Maybe even a better place, jump in the Discord and let us have a discussion about this topic.
It's great.
We'll catch you in the next one. Until then, bye.